Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. Hillbilly Military Modeling here. And in this video we're going to be building the Strumgeschutz sdkfz 167 by Academy and 1/35th scale, also known as a Stug, in this case a Stug 4 because it's built on a Panzer IV chassis. So let's go ahead and get into this build. So first up, we're going to wash these tracks. I'm using warm water and Dawn dishwashing liquid, which is really good at removing the release compound that the manufacturer puts on these tracks to get them out of the molds. This will give us much better adhesion when we go to paint these tracks and put pigments on them. So it's very important that you do this. And so I'll just set that aside. So next we're going to check the fit of our upper hull to our lower hull. Now this kit originally being designed to have an electric motor, this upper hull was meant to be removed so you could replace the batteries. And as you can see, it's got a lot of spring in it, and we're going to try to eliminate some of that, make sure that the fit is good. And also, we can see where Academy has provided us some weld beads here for this frontal armor for the driver. However, they don't continue it down the side, which we're going to be able to see the most of. So we're going to have to correct that. So as I said before, this kit was designed to have an electric motor installed. We're going to fill all of these holes in the lower hull because we intend to have a hatch open, and we don't want any light coming in through these spots. So we're going to fill those. In addition, we've got all these ejector pin marks, and there's quite a few of them on it. On the back of the mantlet too, so we're going to fill all that. And we're going to clean up our jack. Also on our, I believe it's called Schutzen armor, but this additional armor here, it's got 3 nice big ejector pin marks on each of the panels. So we're going to clean those up too. So I'll fill them and sand them. Also the brackets for the armor, those have got some ejector pin marks, and we're going to take care of that too. So one of the things we're going to add on this kit, you see this big space here, we're going to cut some polystyrene sheet and fill those so that there aren't these big voids under the fenders. Again, because we're going to have a hatch open and a crew member sticking out the hatch, we don't want light coming in through these big gaps that we have there. Now if you're going to have the hatches closed, you don't really need to worry about that, but it's kind of up to you. Here you can see where I've just filled all this with it still on the sprues so that it can sit and dry while I take and clean up the rest of the model. And there are quite a few areas that need to be cleaned up, so getting it done early on and giving our putty time to dry is important to keep our build moving on. And here I've already filled, you can see the side of the hull. Don't forget those, they're often overlooked. So here I've used a round file and put a groove in, and then I took to me extra thin cement and softened the plastic. And then I took a sculpting tool for clay modelers and made our weld bead. Not my best weld bead, but it'll work. And then after this sets up and dries real good, I'll come back and sand it down, get rid of the excess that's on it. Okay, so what I'm showing you right here is where Academy didn't put any separation in on our fender panels. So these fender plates, they're separate. So there's no detail there. So what we're going to do is take a little razor saw and cut in just some shallow grooves to continue the separation around the edge of the fenders. I'm going to do this with the rear fenders too. Here's one that I've cut. Now that notch is where the spring goes that's supposed to hold the fender down in place or allow it to flop back down. You can see the top one I haven't cut yet. So we're going to cut those in. This gives us some added detail for our model. So next we're going to take 0.25 inch polystyrene sheet stock and going to cut some panels to fill these gaps underneath the fender, and I will do this for both sides. And this will keep the light from coming in. Helps bring the model up a notch. So here you can see the very center hole I've already filled. And so this is how I did it. I have some thick and some thin polystyrene sheet pieces here. The thin one's going to be the backer, and the thick one is going to be the fill plugs that we were going to make. So here we have a piece of the thick, and what I'll do is I will place it over the hull, and I'm just going to trace out and mark the approximate size that I need to fill that. And I'll do this with each one. So next we'll take the thin backer piece, cut us a piece to fit, if I can hang on to it. So, and we'll simply glue that in place. And then we'll take the plug, I've already made this one, and we'll glue it in place. Lucky for us, this polystyrene sheet is a little bit thinner than the thickness of the hull, which leaves us plenty of room to come back in with our modeling putty, and we'll be able to fill and sand that down nice and flat. Here you can see we've already got all the holes plugged, ready for some filler. And that'll keep light from bleeding through inside the vehicle. What we're looking at here is on the inside of this upper hull, there is a real thick piece that's been molded in, and it's created a sink mark on the exterior of the vehicle. So I have filled and sanded it once, and then I come in and put some Mr. Surfacer 1000 on it. And I'm letting it dry. I'm going to take and sand over that. This particular sinkhole takes 2 coats of Mr. Surfacer before I get it flat, so it's not noticeable. Now it's time to start building. We're actually getting into the model now. So we've got our drive sprockets, our idlers, road wheels, and support rollers. So I've trimmed all these pieces off the sprues, and I've left the sprue gates on each of the parts. That way I can get in real close and accurately trim those off without leaving any flat spots. And then I'll be able to sand those off. Okay, on the left is the unsanded and the right sanded. So I assembled our road wheels, and I can sand these in pairs and eliminate that mold seam. And here you can see we've got it all completed. Of course, it takes a whole lot longer to do than what I'm showing in the video, and I'm sure you guys appreciate me not doing all that in the video. So step 2 and 3, we're going to build up the rear plate for the lower hull and put on our running gear. Typical cleanup, mostly mold seams to be taken care of. No real flash on these parts. Now our bogies, there are 4 sets on each side. They're keyed where you can't get them on the wrong side. Just like the Tamiya kit was that I did in the last video series. And I have filled and sanded our fill plugs on the bottom. On to step 4 and 5, we're going to build up the main gun. I'll leave the wheels off for now. Here we have all the parts cut out. Again, I've left the sprue gates on all the parts. It's much easier to be able to go in now with our cutters and trim those off flush. Very minimal cleanup, I found, if I do it this way versus trying to accurately do it while it's on the sprue. That's almost impossible. And of course, our gun mount doesn't fit properly, so I have to sand and realign this thing to get it nice and straight. So adjustments are needed. Make sure that you test fit everything. So this is a little problem that I found with the kit. There's a pin there that holds our gun mount in place. And as you can see, it's got a lot of play in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate as much of that play as possible. And the way I do that is I take some of that 0.025 inch polystyrene and make me a shim to take up that slack. And now we don't have any movement at all. I had to sand it just a little bit on the shim, but we can move our main armament back and forth and it not be flopping all around. That way we can accurately install that. Some cases I've seen where guys just glue it in place, but I think the shim's going to work out nicely. So the next few steps we're going to combine. We got steps 6, 7, and 8 here. Tools and fenders. Of course, we've already got our fenders on, but we're going to put that armored plate on the right side, but I'm using the concrete on the left. I've seen pictures of tanks that were like that, or Stubes that were like that. And we're going to go ahead and put together our additional armor, all the little brackets that hold it on and everything. So there is a little issue to take care of, and that's right here. These poles that screw together for cleaning out the main armament, the gun, need to be trimmed down so that they'll fit in the location they need to go. Also right here, as you can see, the lower brackets that hold the additional armor don't line up. So what I had to do was take some Tamiya extra thin cement and loosen those brackets up, trim them off, and relocate them so that they fit where they're supposed to go. Academy could have done better in this, but we can adjust. So next up, the gun wasn't tight enough to hold itself in place, so I increased the tension with some copper wire twisted around the mount. And next up, we have this horrible wire tow rope. So this tow cable is horrible. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our own. So what I've done is I've taken a piece of automotive wire. It's 18 gauge, and I've stripped the insulation off of it, and then I have pulled out 5 strands of wire, which will give us the thickness that I want for this cable. Next, I'm going to use a variable speed drill, and I'm going to chuck this wire up in it, and we're going to spin the wire down until it has the approximate twist rate of the molded cable. So in essence, we're making a new cable. Now this is easily done, as you can see right here. Just make sure you get all the strands even before you start twisting it up. And it being copper, it's going to be easy for us to form. So we've approximated the right diameter. And so I've taken and wrapped it in the general shape that it needs to be in. We'll make adjustments later. I cut the ends off of the kit provided part and drilled a hole in them, cleaned them up nicely. And that hole will receive the copper wire, and I used some CA glue, super glue, and glued these ends on. And this is the cable that we now have for our kit. Now a lot of these kits don't, especially at this price point, they don't come with any brackets, and so this wire is just glued to the back of your vehicle, and there's no rhyme or reason why it stays in place. So what I've done here is I've taken some stretch sprue, cut a piece at 45 degrees angle, glued it back on, and then I took some thin polystyrene sheet and made a base plate for them. So we have 2 hooks. Glued this onto the rear of the vehicle, and then I'll trim it after I put the cable on. And now we have brackets to hold our cable. It's fast, easy, and simple fix for a shortcoming in the kit. So we're going to put a crew member in here. This kit only comes with one, and he's got a lot of flash. So all of that has to be cleaned up. The seam lines are real prominent. And he has a nice big dimple in his cheek that I have to fill. So Now, a benefit from filling those big voids from the fenders is that our crew member now has a place to stand, and we can adjust his arms accordingly. And that's it, guys. We have our tank assembled and we're ready for painting. Now, I haven't installed the wheels and sprockets and idlers on it. We'll be doing that after we get everything painted. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Special thanks to my subscribers. And a special thank to Michael. This is for you, buddy. You said, let's build this damn thing, and here we are. So, next video is going to be painting and chipping. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're new to the channel and you'd like to get updates, subscribe and hit that notification bell. And as always, you guys stay safe. Thanks for watching.